Welcome to this presentation where we're going to look at the topic of business-to-business marketing. Now, to fully understand the difference between business-to-business marketing as opposed to business-to-consumer marketing, as an example, let's look at what we refer to in economic terms as the chain of derived demand. Just a bit of a lesson here right at the beginning of the presentation, and how the chain of derived demand applies to a garment such as a shirt. Now, it all starts off as cotton or some other fibre, which is then spun into thread, woven into cloth, machined into a garment, packed and distributed to your local shop, where it is hung on the rack there as a shirt. Understanding the process is important because everything that preceded the placement of the shirt on the rack was done as a result of the demand for the final product. None of the businesses purchased the product from their supplier because of pure indulgence or a decision like, say, why don't we get in a mountain of thread and see what we can do with it? They were purchased with the aim of adding value until it finally reached our eyes as the general public. The public, on the other hand, usually don't leave home with a specific objective of buying that particular shirt and nothing else. They might want a shirt and they might, well, browse until they find the one that suits their needs. So the B2C or business to consumer decision is really driven by supply. Business-to-business marketing is all about meeting the needs of other businesses, even though the demand for the final product is likely to be in some way driven by individual consumers. For some, other businesses will be their only market, so they'll be aiming to promote themselves exclusively, not to individual customers at retail outlets, but to getting noticed by the sorts of businesses who buy their type of product as part of their manufacturing process. Whether they ultimately produce a product or a service, it doesn't matter. Even a consulting engagement is a result of a desire to improve the efficiency or effectiveness of getting a product to the marketplace. Business-to-business marketing efforts are geared to generating inquiries, leads, and direct sales, as well as helping companies to establish and maintain their brand presence among the other companies that they deal with. So what we'll cover in this presentation? Well, wait a minute, you might say. Isn't that exactly what business-to-consumer marketing does as well? Is there really anything different or special about B2B marketing as distinct from B2C marketing? Does it really require a different approach to consumer marketing? In this session, I'll suggest that although there are some similarities, there are some basic differences as well, and they ought to direct the way that B2B marketing should be carried out. So I'll start by setting out what these differences are, and then consider why they require a different sort of approach to marketing than that used in the business-to-consumer relationship. Differences you need to be aware of to be successful in gaining contacts and contracts in the B2B marketplace. We'll look at the essential differences between B2B and B2C markets. We'll look at marketing B2B, segmenting your customers, developing client relationships and accumulating customer business intelligence. We'll look at leveraging the advantages of small businesses to achieve customer lock-in and how to promote your products or services using B2B marketing. Essentially, there are 4 areas where the B2B marketplace operates differently than to the B2 consumer one. And these are in the areas of business-to-business marketing, which is carried out among a limited number of customers. And most of those, for most small businesses, will be local to the seller. The decision to buy process is far more involved for a business than for an individual consumer. Business-to-business products and their applications are often more complex than consumer products, and developing personal relationships with B2B customers and prospects is of critical importance in the B2B market. I'll explain how this works. We tend to find that there's a correlation between the size of a business and the length of the supply line of their key components. Even today, when the internet is being used on a greater scale, there is a perceived risk of going further abroad for critical goods and services. However, the boundaries are increasing, which is why it's so important for you to have a solid strategy in targeting the type and size of business you need to supply in order to succeed, and have a value proposition to match. So, despite the internet, B2B operations in the small business sector still tend to cluster geographically unless the selling proposition isn't as strong as it needs to be. There also seems to be acknowledgement that a strong local small business community is good for everyone. Successful small businesses understand how they fit into the bigger picture, and that gives them some clarity of purpose. Let's think about how individuals make decisions. How many times have you heard about someone buying a season ticket, spending the whole year complaining about the team's performance, and then doing it all over again the following year? Or how about purchasing a $400 jacket when one just as functional could have been purchased for around $100? Or purchasing cigarettes when they know it poses a significant health hazard? Would those same people have been likely to knowingly purchase a computer for the office that continually crashes, all because it's a nice shape? Or purchased an asbestos roof that risked their own health and that of their colleagues? You see, we tend to find that we make less informed decisions and are more likely to give in to our own whims when we are less accountable to others. When we're in the workplace, on the other hand, we tend to make more logical, more rational decisions. We tend to look at the return on investment we will make from the purchase, which is something we very rarely consider as a consumer. We tend to purchase on what we need rather than what we want. That's why business-to-business marketing needs a completely different approach from business-to-consumer marketing. And when you appreciate that, it can actually make the job easier. However, here's something I need to make clear. People are still making the decisions, not robots. So although the decision is based more on logic, the inherent people factors are still there. There's still an emotional aspect that we really need to consider. No business-to-business purchaser wants to risk their reputation or credibility by buying an unreliable product or service. And for that reason, trust, credibility, and security all become more significant in the process. And that places a lot of pressure on your brand, reputation, testimonials, and other factors which will support the emotional needs of a business-to-business purchaser. So just as the decision-making process of a B2B transaction can become more complex, so do the products. In fact, business-to-business products are far more likely to be complex than the B2C end product, and even where the products are of like complexity, the buying decision might be based on entirely different drivers. Many consumer products are sold on look or how loud they are, or whether they fit the current decor at home. Even though they might be highly engineered and technically sophisticated, those aren't the determining factors in making most sales. But no business buys a computer system or a printing press on its looks. Business buyers are analytically focused. They ask a lot of tough, detailed questions and expect comprehensive answers that are strong on technicalities. So, marketing material needs to be designed to feed their appetite for rigorous information. These aren't people you market to on the basis of how your product will enhance their lifestyle or match the color of their decor, or who you can rush into anything, and you'll need to understand that in developing your marketing materials. And because of the emotional need, which is quite specific in a B2B transaction, there's a fourth factor of major importance: the need to develop a personal relationship in B2B marketing. Where the number of buyers is small, their needs complicated, and their decision-making process influenced by many people, the most effective way of marketing is through personal contact to build trust and understanding. I'll return to this later when I mention about customer relationship management.